Welcome to day 157 of our BitClout journey. I'm Ed Krasenstein here with my twin brother Brian. And there's some good news yesterday as far as the future of BitClout goes, and the fuel in the fire that we've been hearing about for a couple of months now. I think we're starting to see a picture of what that fuel is actually going to consist of. And it's not going to be gasoline or kerosene like I was thinking. It's going to actually be marketing.
Yeah, Fast Freddy, who we kind of introduced yesterday, he's one of the new members of the core team, or he's working with the core team for the so-called fuel in the fire. And the user 100 asked a question of him and asked if he can provide any information about what fuel in the fire will be and what they have planned. And Fast Freddy actually gave quite a bit of information in a post that we summarized yesterday in the morning. So I guess the main gist of it all is that they are working to basically redo BitClout and relaunch it. They're considering this a relaunch of BitClout, and they're going to do several things. They're going to, within 10 days, we should have more information about what's going to happen. They're going to give more hints. But the first thing is the new user interface, and they call it a new skin. So they're going to upgrade BitClout, the BitClout.com node, and make it more in line with what you're used to on other platforms, I guess like Twitter and Facebook. So it's going to look nicer. We saw some mock-ups of it. It does look significantly nicer. Fast Freddy kind of likened today's BitClout.com to MS-DOS, whereas tomorrow's will be much more in line with what we're used to in social media. And as soon as that UI is up and running, which I think is probably going to be within a couple of weeks at most, they're going to start adding fuel to the fire. And that's going to be by way of a press and media campaign, which are going to actually spend some of the money they took in initially, I assume. A referral program, which we've all been waiting on. From what I can tell, it's going to be earn.com, but we don't know for certain. They also have a user acquisition plan and an influencer partnership initiative.
That's interesting. I wonder what that's going to consist of.
The influencer partnership initiative?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they have some big names that are coming on board. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. And a couple more points that Freddie touched on was that the timing of all these new features have kind of been culminating in order to relaunch BitClout. They want to bring all these new features and this fuel in the fire together to have this BitClout relaunching, they call it. So it's kind of like this, we were in like the alpha version, and they're going to actually relaunch the thing and bring on a drastic amount of new users. It seems that's what they want to do. And I think finally, an important point that he brought up that I found interesting is that the core team's like deliberating right now on how is it best from a marketing standpoint to separate the BitClout blockchain and all that has to offer from the BitClout.com node as a proof of concept. So that they want to use BitClout.com to show off like what BitClout's about, but they also want to show that the BitClout blockchain has so much more to offer than just BitClout.com.
Yeah, I think that's a challenge, separating the two, because you want to market BitClout.com because that's where pretty much everything that you do on the BitClout blockchain is going to take place right now. But you also want to market this idea that developers can create something better. And that's a challenge. And I'm glad I'm not sitting in that marketing room and have to make a decision with like, how much money do we allocate to, marketing BitClout.com, and how much do we allocate to marketing just BitClout, the blockchain? I think it's a challenge, and I think they're going to be able to manage it quite well, but it's going to be interesting to see how they do that.
Well, and the blockchain, it could be just projects being built on the blockchain. So maybe they want to boost Prosper Cloud, or they want to boost Polygram, which we'll talk about here in a minute, or they want to boost any of these other initiatives that are being built. Cloudcast is an awesome advertising platform. So I think that they should use some money to show off this proof of concept and market that. but at the same time, they need to kind of spread it over the developer community and get the developers excited and get the talent to come to BitClout and to this blockchain and start building upon it, because that's really what's going to push it forward. BitClout.com is a short-term solution, and that's going to attract users. But I think that in the long run, you're going to need to attract the developers to really start building and start spending time and money on creating on this platform and on this blockchain.
Yeah, so I think, I mean, we'll see where they go, but I think another thing we're going to talk about is Polygram, which launched yesterday. It's a platform for NFTs, and it's really good. Like, what do you think about it so far?
I think this is a perfect example of what the blockchain has to offer. So all this NFT data is being stored in the blockchain. So BitClout.com doesn't really have a really intuitive way of looking at users and their NFTs. It's really kind of it's not easy on the eyes. It's hard to find stuff. It's hard to curate stuff. Whereas Polygram, they took this data from the BitClout blockchain and pulled it into a website, polygram.cc, which looks and acts kind of like OpenSeas, if you know about NFTs. And but the biggest thing about Polygram is that it curates it in a nice way. You view everything really, really neatly. But also,
so I just want to say, so like, if you go to Polygram, you're going to see there's going to be different profiles. So this Clout Punk's going to have one, BitClout Kid's going to have one, Illuminati's going to have one for his Rowdy Reptilians. And if you click on that name, it's going to bring up all of their NFTs, and there's going to be different tabs. There's going to be one for created, so you're going to see all of the NFTs created by that account. There's a tab for owned, so all the ones owned by that account. And then you're going to see for sale, so it's going to be all the NFTs for sale by that account. So that's something that BitClout, the platform, hasn't actually, BitClout, the website, hasn't been able to do, is, you know, kind of organize it in this way. And I think this is a huge step in the right direction. One thing I'd like to see is if you click on an NFT on Polygram, it tells you the current price and says place a bid, but to place a bid, you actually have to just redirects you to BitClout. I think it'd be great if you could place a bid directly from Polygram. And I think that's something that's probably going to be coming in the near future, but right now it's just not ready. I think there's so much that can be done with this. You know, it's like OpenSea in a way, in that you can kind of just discover NFTs. You can search for users. I think it would be nice if we could search for NFTs. Like, I want to see NFTs of, you know, football NFTs or baseball NFTs, or, you know, see, right now you can only search by artists or user. So I think the search feature needs to get a little better on that as well, but it's great. I love how it looks. It has recently listed NFTs that are displaying. It shows the price, shows what they've sold for. So I think this is the future, and I'm just so happy to see this on top of the BitClout blockchain.
Yeah, and I think that BitClout.com does allow you to view somebody's NFTs they own, what they have for sale, but it's all like in just a long stream, and there's no like neat way to view it. This puts things side by side. And what I would like to see Polygram do is allow each creator to kind of curate their own homepage, so that if you go to the Krasenstein Polygram page, you can maybe reorder the ones you own, so you can put the ones you think are the coolest at the top. Even the ones you have for sale, you can do the same thing. And then every user on BitClout has their own NFT portal. And when they want to show somebody their NFTs, they just link to their Polygram page. Or even, I mean, I don't know if Polygram is going to be the de facto NFT page. I know there's Supernova being worked on. I know M. Van Halen's working on Check BitClout. But I would like to see BitClout.com integrate one of these platforms into their main node, so that when you do click a gallery of what somebody owns, you can quickly and easily see it in a nice, neat, organized way.
Exactly. And so you know, there's gonna be other websites, like you said, that come out. And I think ultimately, I don't think it just has to be one that wins out. I think that we can have multiples. And I'm just looking forward to seeing, you know, how the whole NFT space develops on BitClout, because I think we have a long way to go, and I think we're moving in that direction, and it's going to happen sooner rather than later.
Well, and I think competition is the best thing. I mean, if you're going to have Polygram and Supernova and maybe check BitClout, and who knows, maybe Gem's going to come into the NFT space. I think if they're all competing for eyeballs, you're just going to get the best of the best, because they're all going to be looking to create something that a user wants and improve the user experience. So it's great, and I think we're finally starting to see it. I know I've been pushing for something like this in the NFT space on BitClout since NFTs launched.
It's funny you say finally starting to see it, but in reality, it's only been 5 months since the beginning of BitClout. So it's not really that long of a time period in the whole scheme of things. But yeah, so I think that's a good place to end off with the news. Would like to say that we won Tiffany Trump's NFT yesterday. We're pretty stoked about that.
Her first NFT, yeah.
Yeah, so that's exciting. And CloutPunk also released their first, I think, 15 of their new collection, which is going to feature over 10,000 new CloutPunks. So
Illuminati has released a new collection as well. Did you see that?
No, I haven't. I'm gonna have to check
It's
it out.
pixelated lizard guys.
That's great. Yeah, so it's great to see these guys. They keep creating content, and there's more and more NFTs coming out. But I think that's a great place to end off today, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.